Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eric back with you on the channel. Today's video, what I wanted to cover was some things I love and some things I hate about the truck, and then just some things that I'm kind of indifferent about. So the first things we're going to go over, things I really love about the truck. Obviously, my number one thing is going to be the look of it. Mega Cab has kind of been my dream truck, obviously with the Cummins. Wanted one for a long time. I had one for a short stint when I was stationed up in Nebraska. I was on recruiting duty up there, and I only drove like a mile to work, if that. So I had the truck for probably about 8 months, put like 3,000 miles on it, and I was just driving to work and then driving home, which essentially the truck never really warmed up. At that time, I was like, man, I'm kind of doing this truck a disservice, so I traded that in and got a Jeep Wrangler JK. Probably one of the biggest regrets I've ever had. But I'm now back in a Mega Cab. Essentially, I had a crew cab before, now I have a Mega Cab. So I found this truck on Facebook Marketplace. It was for sale for a while, so I hit the guy up. We worked out a deal, and lo and behold, I finally got my dream truck. So obviously what drew me to the truck was, first of all, it's a black lifted Mega Cab. It had 16,000 miles on it, and it already had looks that I was going for. It already had the lift, already had the wheels and tires, and that's pretty much it, you know. I say pretty much it, but that was a lot of money that was spent on that stuff. So all that stuff was already done. So I was lucky on that aspect. But going back to the things that I do love about the truck, first and foremost is ride quality. When I got the truck, when the truck came off the trailer in a parking lot over by my buddy's work, we backed it off the trailer, I sat in it, and it was just ginormous is what it felt like. 6-inch lift sitting on 37s. It was like a tank compared to my F-150. So that was taking some time to get used to, but at the same time when I drove it home, I was like shocked on how smooth the truck had rode. I live in Oklahoma, and I'm sure you guys could do this research if you really want to. We have some of the crappiest roads ever. Not a lot of money spent on our roads. Our highway system is pretty good, but some of our small town roads can be pretty crappy and beat up. So with the 6-inch 4-link BDS lift with the dual shocks in the front, Fox 2.0 shocks, and then also the Fox 2.0 shocks in the rear, the truck rode freaking awesome compared to what I was expecting. It's still a 3/4 ton truck. It's still a heavy truck, but for what it is, the truck rides really good. So ride quality is awesome. That's the first thing I love about it. Second thing is my favorite mod I've done is the second gen swap. It makes that engine bay pop. You know, you got that big old turbo sitting up there. It's a high mount turbo. It's not the one that sits lower. The power band on that thing is just unreal. As soon as you step on it, you can feel that boost kicking in. There's not really much lag to it. I don't have injectors or a CP3. It's all stock pretty much. So when I get into it and I had the tuning done, I was shocked on how well it responded with that bigger turbo. Next thing I'm going to say is the tuning that I got done to it. Double R Diesel is the guy I use for my tuning, and when I bought the EGR Delete in the exhaust and then the tuning, I had to do it pretty much as a package. You can you have to pull the exhaust off to remove the DPF, the catalytic converter for that tuning to work. So I pulled that off, put the tuning in, and it was a night and day difference, like how the truck responded, throttle response, things like that. So I was blown away with that. He does an exceptional job, excellent customer service, 0 complaints. So the tuning was one of my favorite things as well. Amp research power boards, a lot of people don't want to spend the money on them because they think they're expensive. Yes, they are, but you are definitely paying for, how do you say it? You're definitely paying. It's an investment. It's a good investment. Jumping in that truck day in and day out. It's tall, but those steps definitely help. My wife can get in it fine. My in-laws can get in it fine. My parents can get in it fine. It's a little taller than the average truck, obviously, but those amp research boards help you tremendously. The side of my seat cushion be worn out from me trying to jump in that thing, like Ryan Mayer did on his truck. He waited. It was a little bit before he put his boards on, but when he put them boards on, you could tell it was a difference for him getting in and out of that. One of the other things, I got 2 more things left for the things I love about it, is it's easy to work on. I have 0 experience working on a diesel motor. This truck is my first experience. I did a lot of research on YouTube, did a lot of research on some of the Facebook pages I'm on, just searching away things that I needed to do for the second gen swap, things that would make things easier for me when I'm working on this. But essentially it's an inline 6 motor, and there's intake on one side and exhaust on the other. It's kind of like working on an old school 350. Everything's so simple, so simplistic, and it's easy to take on and off parts, and it's easy to access. If you look under the hood of a Dynamax or a Power Stroke, it's just a gaggle of crap on top of that motor that you don't know what's what, how they work on it. And heck, you see the Super Duties, they have to lift cabs to work on them things sometimes. So the ease of working on a Cummins is awesome. That's one of the pluses to having this truck. And the last thing I love about this is I have a front mounted camera down on the lower air dam that when I go below 10 miles an hour, it comes on through my center display. So when I'm driving at slow speeds, or I need to know where the white line is in the road, when I'm pulling up to a stoplight or a crosswalk, make sure I'm not in it, that automatically comes on my center display, and it helps tremendously with parking, tight parking spots at work, with there's just cars everywhere. It's night and day difference from parking that thing without it. All right, guys, here's the second gen swap. Obviously one of my favorite mods. So maybe looking a little dirty right now. Haven't really cleaned her or anything, but there she is, S467 with Steed speed manifold. Obviously you see the line there for the fleece coolant bypass. That was probably the hardest thing to install when doing the second gen swap. It's not part of the second gen swap, but it's definitely an easier thing to install when you're doing the second gen swap. I got the fleece coolant tank over there, so yeah. And then the piping, you kind of see it down there a little bit. Comes through here, it hits up the intercooler. Not sure if you can see that, but right there between the two vents is a circular camera. That's my front camera. So it works freaking awesome. Love it. Do want to give a little love to the little Mercedes, the wife's car, the Mercedes GLE 350. She looks pretty sexy when she's clean, but first time I think I've hand washed it. So I got everything cleaned out, wheels nice and shined up, and the back end taken care of pretty good. It's a little sportier look. Kind of hard to see with the garage door shut, but it's a pretty clean looking car, or SUV, whatever the hell you want to call it. All right, so some things I hate about the truck. Not necessarily hate, but it's just some things that that I wish were a little bit better, I guess you could say. First and foremost, black truck. Keeping it clean, that's the hardest thing. Before I got it ceramic coated and before I got it paint corrected and ceramic coated, I could wash that truck and like 2 days later it'd be filthy again. Ever since I got the ceramic coating done, it literally, the water just beads off of it, and I just rinse it down, and it looks pretty good for a while until you can get to it and hand wash it and use the foam cannon or whatever the case may be. That's what I do now. 68 RFE. Everybody knows the downsides of 68 RFE. They're not too much reliable. They're reliable in a stock form, stock application, but as soon as you start throwing power and mods at it, that 68 RFE is not built for that. I'm on stock gears right now, 37s, a heavy truck, and I'm probably pushing over 500 horsepower to the wheel on a hot tune. That truck was not, that transmission was not built for that. So I drive it like a reasonable human. I'm not out here rolling coal. I'm not out here beating the piss out of it. I drive it, you know, if I'm in third or fourth gear, I'll get on it, but I really don't get on it from the start. I'm just trying to drive the truck. It's my daily driver. It's not a race truck, I know that. It's a mega cab, it's a big old Dodge. It's not meant to run 10s. It's just not gonna do it, for me at least. Maybe it does down for some people that are pushing 1500 horsepower, 22 something foot-pounds of torque, but not in this truck, it's not gonna happen. I do plan on upgrading the transmission later on down the road. When that time comes, it'll come. When the transmission goes out, if it does go out, that's when I'll replace it. I'm not gonna go out and spend a buku of cash on a transmission right now, when this one I have works just fine. So one of the things I do hate, and this is a hate, is the constant warning of lights being out on the dash, whether it's my headlights, my turn signals, my reverse lights, my what do they call it, license plate lights. I'm always getting warnings every time I start this truck up, and none of the lights are out. It's just it's a sensitive canvas system that constantly gives me warnings on the dash saying, hey, this light's out, hey, this light's out. And when I first got the truck, I was kind of pissed, man. I was like, man, this owner, I hope he, didn't sell me this truck with all these burned out light bulbs or issues. And lo and behold, for me, when I talked to him, he had the same problems, looked on forums, and it's just a common thing with these canvas systems. They're just real finicky. And especially, like, I have the Diode Dynamics light boards for the turn signals, the daytime running lights. I have a hyper flash for my right turn signal that just won't go away. The left side went away. The right side, as soon as I installed it, it just stayed there. They don't hyper flash on the truck, but I get the hyper flash turn signal. One thing I am kind of nervous about is the dreaded third brake light leak. You guys hear about, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but sometimes if you get heavy rain in your area, wherever the case may be, if that seal on the third brake light does, like, say, break or get deteriorated, the water will start leaking in through the cab that way, and you'll notice it in your headliner. I would say by the time you see it on your headliner, it's probably too late because there's a lot of water already in there. Some people are seeing it in the seat pillars, like back behind the rear seats, and you can see the water marks. I put a clear silicone around my third brake light, and I haven't had any issues. I'm constantly looking at it, constantly checking it to make sure there's no issues with it or it's leaking. Every time it rains, I'm always looking back there like, please don't be leaking, please don't be leaking, and it's not. So everything looks great. Last thing I'm gonna say is the 342 gears. Truck is stock 342 gears. I'm debating whether to go 410s or 456s. Depending on, I haven't made up my mind. I do a lot of local driving, in-town driving. I don't get on the highway too much. So possibly in the future, if I live a little bit, I'll be using the highway a lot more to get to work when I do retire from the military. So those are things that I'm looking at, that I'm taking into consideration, I guess you could say. I think 456s will be good for that. I could bump up to a 38 if I wanted to later on down the road, and the gearing would be good for it. So when I re-gear, it'll be easier on the transmission, easier on the drivetrain, so I don't have to worry about stressing out that transmission, even if I do replace it. When you buy a new transmission, say from RevMax, Suncoast, things like that, sometimes they won't warranty your transmission unless you have gears that are upgraded from 342s. Some of these trucks came with 410s, stock from the factory, or 373s, those are options, but my truck's 342, so yeah, those bigger companies that sell you these $10,000 transmissions are not going to warranty it if you did not have gears. So that is my next big money mod that I'm going to be doing to the truck. I'm not going to be doing it. I'm paying someone else to do that because I don't trust myself with the gears. So yeah, those are the things I hate about the truck. All right, last thing I'm going to cover are some things that I'm indifferent about. Like, yeah, they're cool to have, but if they weren't there, I wouldn't mind, or maybe I do regret spending money on these things. So first thing I'm going to go over is the rigid light bar that I have in the front of the truck. It's a 20-inch light bar. I think it's the Econ flood and spot light bar. I don't ever use it. I'll use it like on a dark road, say if I'm going to work early in the morning or coming home really late at night when there's nobody else out, I'll turn it on just for shits and giggles, I guess you could say. But I never use it. The only time I ever use it is if somebody has their high beams on and they flash me because they think I have my high beams on, but I don't, because my headlights are aimed right. People in Oklahoma are sometimes they're just not the greatest drivers and they're terrible. So I'll hit them with that real quick and then they'll stop. And it's kind of an idiot move on my part, but I don't do it often, only when people are just constantly flashing me. So that's one of the things. The ARE tonneau cover, the guy that I bought it from put it on there. It looks great. I don't have any issues with it. Wouldn't be my first choice. The ones I like are usually the backflip, the trifold tonneau covers that you can fold up. If this truck was if I ever had to tow like a fridge or something tall sticking out of the bed, I would have to physically remove it. And as you see in this video clip that I'm about to show you here in a second, is that the tonneau cover has shifted a little bit ever so slightly off center, and it started to scrape the paint on the top upper corners of the bed itself. So it's already wore down to the primer. So it's a good looking tonneau cover. It works. It secures the bed when I lock the truck so you can't get into the tailgate or in the bed itself. It looks good, but it's just not my style. I've thought about taking it off and selling it. I'm still like, I don't know if I just want to go through the heartache of it or not, but And I don't know if those things really sell all that well. So if any of you guys are interested in in the Oklahoma City area, or you're local somewhere within a reasonable driving distance and you want to buy it, shoot me a comment below. It's for a 6.4 or a 6 foot 4-inch bed for anything from a 2010 to a 2018 Ram 2500 or 3500, not the dually. It may fit. I don't know about the dually though. I can't promise that. Last thing I'm going to cover, I got 2 more things. One's not really that big, but the amp bed steps. I wouldn't have put those, came from the previous owner as well. They're on there. They work great when you need them, but man, they're not really that pretty when they're pushed up in there. So just for styling, I guess you could say, they're handy if you need them. Only time I use them is when I'm washing the truck, and I don't even have any on the other side, so I just use the step ladder. But they're there. I use them. I haven't taken them off. If any of you guys are interested in them, let me know in the comments below, or go on to my Instagram, shoot me a direct message, and we can work out a deal. I'll even ship them to you if the cost is right. So, and the last thing I'm going to cover is the sunroof. This is my 3rd or 4th vehicle with a sunroof. I've always wanted a sunroof. I know I'm indifferent nowadays, but I do always worry about the sunroof leaks. So we all know wherever there's a weather stripping or seal, especially on the top of the roof, eventually it's going to leak or break. So I don't use it all that often. I may use the sunroof. I may crack it to where it's like open in the back end and it's not like fully open. So I use it sometimes, usually when it's nice out, and I'll crack the back window, get some airflow through the cab. But I don't really ever open it all the way because the sun just beats down on my face and it gets hot anyway. So that's one of the things I'm just really indifferent about, is the sunroof. So yeah, just wanted a recap with you guys of the things that I love, I hate, and I'm indifferent about it, about the truck. Absolutely love the truck. It's going to be mine forever. I don't ever plan on getting rid of it. I've even been talking with Everything Diesel about possibly getting a second truck down the line, maybe a 2006 mega cab, and doing opposite of what I have now, doing like a reverse level, high horsepower build, just to have fun with, But that's in the future. We'll get to that point sometime. But I have another dream car that I want to get first once this truck's paid off, and that when the time comes, I'll get it and I'll introduce it to the channel. It will be here. It's just a matter of time and a matter of money. So there's a tonneau cover. You see, it's probably a good 3 inches, I guess you could say, from the top of the bed, but it definitely is bigger and a little bulkier. It comes down and covers the rear tailgate. Sorry for the wind noise, but it's nice, pretty, painted to match. But here's downsides to that. The paint that is rubbed through right there. You can kind of see it happen on the other side as well. That's the only crappy part, getting it aligned right. And then you guys can see the bed steps there. Kind of hang down, no biggie. They're great when you need them, but they're not really that good looking when they're up. Hasn't really affected me that much, but to take them off, but they're still there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. This is all I have to cover for this video. You guys keep commenting, keep subscribing, keep liking the videos. And please, give me some ideas below. And if you haven't been already, follow me on my Instagram. It's the same as the YouTube channel. It's OKC_6.7. And give me some ideas on there as well. So once again, guys, appreciate you watching the video. Thank you for everything, and we'll see you next time.